I'd like to thank the Academy and Gadadhar Mishra for organizing this session and inviting me. So, I'm going to talk about a very simple mathematical aspect, but which seems to have had a big, which has a big impact. As some of you may know, I have been involved with opinion polls for last 2 decades, and a lot of people used to raise questions that, you talk to only 20-30,000 people in the country. How can you know what will happen in the country? But they could just dismiss it and dismiss whatever I said. It doesn't matter. It had no impact. But in the recent Lok Sabha election, 2 months ago, 6 months ago, 8 months ago, leading to that, there was big controversy about the electronic voting machines and VVPAT. How many machines should be cross-verified before the election result can be announced? Election Commission had come up with a scheme, and there were various petitions challenging that in the court. Demands starting with 10%, going up to 50%. In fact, the last one, entire opposition had gone to the court saying that 50% cross-verification should be ordered. So it is lack of understanding of a very simple mathematical aspect, and that is what I propose to convey, that it is the sample size and not sampling fraction which matters. Next please. Oh, I have this. Yeah. So, very basics of sampling. So suppose you have a population of size n, it could be population of city, state or a country, and a certain percentage, say Z percentage possess a characteristic like a defective machine. You have a population of over 10 lakh machines, Z% are defective, or Z% want to vote for a party or something like that. We want to make an assessment about Z. Alright, if complete enumeration is not possible for whatever reasons, then sampling theory says, okay, you pick a few, pick that random, and based on that make a judgment. So we are going to take simplest scenario, which is called simple random sampling. It chooses a sample of size n, and based on that we make up. Now, in many situations, we have information on the population, and we can actually improve upon the simple random sampling scheme. For example, if I have to assess what percentage of eligible voters in the country that support a particular party, say BJP, we know from past data that there is a huge variation in support for the party when you go from one state to the other. And therefore, to get it accurately, I should ensure that each state should have roughly the same percentage of voters in my sample as in the population. So this is called stratified sampling. So there are many such things, but instead of going in these complicated things, to keep it simple, we'll just come to simple random sampling, and my aim is to convince this audience of scientists that it is sample size and not sampling fraction that determines the accuracy. Alright, now first question, if I have to convince something about accuracy, what do you mean by accuracy of a sampling scheme? Okay, if I denote by Zn hat the percentage of subjects having the same characteristic in the sample, then, and that is going to be my guess for Z, you would like that Z and Zn do not differ by much with a large probability. So, I would require, let's say, that the difference is less than 1% with 99% probability. In other words, with 99% confidence, the estimate does not differ from the true value more than 1%. Instead, at this 1 and 99, I could pick some alpha and beta. Okay? Now, the main question is, how do we choose sample size n to achieve our given objective? And second, how does it scale with n? If n increases, how should my sample size increase? So suppose for a given n alpha beta, we have found that n equal to 2500 is sufficient to achieve the given accuracy. Now if n increases to 400,000, so multiplies 4 times, how should little n increase? How should sample size increase? Should it increase by a factor of 4, factor of 2, or what? Let us see. I am going to make a small digression. Suppose I have a box with 100 slips, identical in all aspects, except that each has either a red dot or a blue dot on it. Okay? And the slips are folded, and the dot is visible only when I unfold the slip. I mix the slips, come to the audience, and okay, we are told that 95 of them are one dot and one color dot, and only 5 are the outliers. Suppose we mix them well, I come, make one of you take out one thing, read out, tell what is the color, fold it, put it back, go to the next, go to the next. We do it 3 times. Okay. Now, with that you go with the majority rule, namely whichever color is dot has the majority in our sample of size 3, I go with that as my guess. Okay. That's why I take 3, not 2. Now the probability that we will pick the right answer is this is a class 10 level probability question. We can just take the favorable cases versus total number of cases and a simple arithmetic, and we will see that it is 0.99275. So over 99% we will be accurate. Right? Now the question is, if instead of 100 splits there were 10,000 splits, still 95% having one color and 5% being the other color, and we still want to pick the dominant color with 99% probability. How many draw one needs? Well, let's compute the probability with 3 draws. Okay? And lo and behold, what we see is that we get an expression very similar to this. Each factor in each term gets multiplied by 100 in numerator and denominator, and so no surprise that the answer remains the same. Indeed, instead of 10,000, we had a billion slips. And it is 95% and 5%, 3 draws will still give you a correct guess with 95%, 99% probability. So the population size has no effect. It is just the sample size that has determined it. Okay? This is as simple as it can be. Now, let's return to this estimate business. This simple illustration would have given you already an idea as to which way I am going, but so if your population with size n again and z% possessing a characteristic, a sample of size n is chosen repeatedly by picking one individual or item with each having the same probability. We assume that the item is put back after you draw. This is what is called simple random sampling with replacement, and in this case, simple probability, first course in probability we teach that the number Sn in the sample having the attribute as binomial distributions with parameters small n and small p. Already the capital N is missing. So any probability estimate coming out of this distribution, capital N has absolutely no role. Okay? So we can do P n hat and try to get estimate of n. If I give alpha and beta, how do I get a n? Well, firstly, it will not depend on capital N, and we can estimate this, say, using central limit theorem. That was the approach until about 25 years ago, when computer power was not available or was expensive. It all changed, and now we have computer power at our fingertips. So the point is, if I use central limit theorem, some approximations, people say, oh, we don't understand all this, now you have gone in, we don't really believe what you say. People did say these things when we were talking about election opinion polls. But all these things were said to me in discussions by people when this VVPAT EVM issue came up. And these were, I'm not talking some street people, these are some people, retired IAS officers who are retired at secretary level. They said, we don't understand what you don't understand what you are saying, so we don't believe you. They were so strongly believing in their own position that they only thought that either I have been threatened or I have been bribed to say what I am saying. So, today we could, for example, use R software and a function called probability binom, which one could get. And so this says that if I want that my estimate should be within 2%, and in the population there is a 60% in the population, 6250, sample size 6250 will suffice to get my desired goal with 99.88% probability, practically 100%. If you do, so what this says is nationwide, if I am able to get a sample of size 6250, my Z would as well be, my estimate Zn will be extremely close to Z with extremely high probability. And for n equal to 4000, it is 99% still. Once again, of course, n is having no bearing. Now, the one difficulty comes here is that what I explained to you earlier was what is called simple random sampling with replacement, but in practice you never do with replacement. In opinion poll, I don't go back to the same person and ask the opinion again. If he says, "Arey, yesterday I told you," I can't say that, "Oh no, but you appear twice in my sample." That will be meaningless. Likewise, in the EVM controversy, you can't be recounting the same booth 2 times. So what we do is simple random sampling without replacement, and that changes the probabilities a little. And again, that was a cause of attack, that, "Oh, you are working all your reports using with replacement, whereas you are actually doing without replacement." Well, even here there are explicit computational commands. It's a piece hypergeometric distribution, and once again we see that this time the n does have an effect, but it is marginal. So when n equal to 100,000, it is 99.15. When 100,000 becomes a million, it becomes 99.03. It becomes a billion, it is still 99.01. It still stays above 99. So people attack me saying that no, it is changing with n, and you testify that it doesn't change with n. So they don't understand that order of magnitude, what is the essential part, what is the inessential part. But even this has told that we don't understand what is inside that software. So how do we know that that is correct? So then I tried to come up with another way. These days, with computing power at our fingertips and software in our hand, one could do an explicit computation, and I could tell that the formula class 12 students can verify, and that this formula is being translated into a software. Anybody with a course on Python can testify, and there you have your thing. So without going into number of balls, etc., this is a standard calculation in class 12. All I would say is that software Python has built-in capabilities to compute large integer arithmetic. You don't need any special work to do that. And I have done these calculations for the exact probability of getting accuracy, and I can share the code that computes this table with those who are interested. I'll put it in the article which will appear in the INSA book collection. But I will show this table which says this is Pn hat is my estimate of the probability, P is the true probability, proportion. Pn hat is the estimate of the proportion, P is the true proportion, small n is the sample size, capital N is the population size, and here is a table which gives the exact probability for various combinations of capital N and small n. And as we see, as capital N increases, the probabilities do decrease, but 81.451 going down to 81.429. Whereas as small n increases, the change is dramatic. And so the columns are nearly identical, but across row as you go, the things change. And with n equal to 10,000, we have got practically 99.99%. So the capital N really doesn't matter, or matters very little, and it is the sample size which determines the accuracy. So at least amongst the skeptics, among the scientists, this should lay at rest this controversy. I'm not sure what would journalists and other political activists will say, because they're still convinced that I was threatened or bribed. So I think let me stop here. We give time for questions.